Hey, good morning.
Morning.
You're awake, huh?
Eh,
Morning. Morning, everybody.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Look, we have the kids who joined us today.
Yeah, cool.
No audio.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
The children are at school.
Oh, shucks.
Although tonight my son will be part of a deal presentation. Let's see. Let me find the email. At 6 p.m. there's a commercial webinar, and he's part of the Young and Profitable group within the Big Dogs that are doing, they're presenting a mini storage tonight. So
Very nice.
Interesting.
I
That's
saw
pretty
that
cool.
posted.
he will be on his own Zoom call. Well, not his, but
I'm hoping to have my daughter do stuff like that. She's the local cookie door knocker. She does
okay.
custom orders and door knocks for them.
That's a
That's
good way to get started. Door knocking.
Yeah, I was proud of her. So she kept asking for allowance and then finally went and did something about it instead of getting an
I was like, get
allowance.
a job.
There you go. Get in the game.
So you send her door knocking for cookies? Can't you just buy your own?
Yeah, right. Not the Nutella stuffed chocolate chip cookies. They're really good, actually. So, and then the neighbors are starting to like her and stuff. So she'll do custom orders sometimes, and we've done a few of those. I was just proud of her for her like putting the pieces together to try to figure out how to make her own income.
Yep.
That actually is a
Well, it
great
starts.
idea. That's a
Yeah,
great idea. Go door knocking, and I mean, next thing she can learn how to do is make sourdough bread, and then she can
oh yeah,
take
that's not
sourdough
bad.
bread. Yep, that's a
That's
big
not a
one.
bad idea at all.
Yep,
And
sourdough
it's
bread, and then cinnamon swirl sourdough bread.
And jalapeno cheddar.
Here's all her custom orders
oh,
right
And
here.
then and
yeah,
then
right. Let's
Does she
start writing
ship?
and
down.
then cinnamon swirl sourdough bread. No.
We can tell you have a favorite.
I have an order.
And I saw a piece of we went to Yoke yesterday for breakfast. I saw a piece of red velvet cupcake that's fried as French toast.
Oh my.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a restaurant back home in Michigan called Anna's House, and they make this thing called Twilight French toast. And they take um Lisa, you look very sad. Somebody's doubly out there on
I
speaker.
think, Lisa, you might have two going. Do you have on your phone and your computer and your microphone as well?
I think is it there, it's fixed now. Yeah, okay.
Is it fixed?
Somebody was in here twice, I think.
Oh, so this place back home in Michigan is called Anna's House, and they make this thing called Twilight French toast. They take a cinnamon swirl loaf, and they after it's baked, they dip it in creme brulee and they bake it.
Sauce. Yeah.
Yeah, creme brulee sauce. They dip it and then they bake it, and then they bring it out and nice and toasty hot. They slice it and then they drizzle it with creme brulee on the top of it and cover it with fresh berries. Oh my goodness gracious! It's
It's
just
dessert for breakfast.
it's
Yeah,
dessert for breakfast. Is so stinking amazing.
I need to like not
It's
eat
something you
food.
can do
Yeah,
once a year.
For your birthday.
there you go.
Yeah. That place, nothing traditional in that whole restaurant for breakfast. Everything is eclectically unique. Everything's got pizzazz. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I've been to a few places like that that were memorable. One of them's in Atlanta, but how was everybody's week? Rebecca, we usually start out with a weekly wins. I can say my week last week was the phone was ringing off the freaking hook. And then we got in and started playing with some apps some more on our CRM to do a better lead scoring. So we're narrowing down how to lead score based on how friendly they are, the auction date, and then the amount of equity. So our hot lead is like red hot lead with equity will pay us or something like that. And so we're trying to mess with that. Our biggest problem right now is conversions. We talk to tons of sellers, but we don't get tons of deals. So we keep going forward every week and getting better though. And using our KPIs, that's been huge. But we've gotten some good reports about those. And go ahead, Kyle.
Josie and I have our we have
Two
we
men.
closed on a deal the week before Thanksgiving, 60 bed assisted living in New Braunfels, and then so that one's closed, and it's when we originally started acquisitions on that, it was at 72% occupancy in August, and we're at 86% occupancy now.
Damn.
Which is just incredible.
Yeah.
And applications on the docket. So very excited about that asset. There were some additional updates with that I don't remember. Josie's memory is better than mine on that. But really, really great progress on that asset already out of the gate. And then, excuse me.
You want me to say our second win?
Well, we had okay, go ahead.
Our second win was we single-handedly completed the cap raise on our second 4-pack in Florida. We had space for 2 investors and we brought both investors in. So we're pretty excited about that.
Nice.
And that one has already appraised, which with a purchase price of 10 million, it's already appraised as is at 12.7. So already some great equity there. So we're really excited about these 2 deals.
Yeah, it appraised at 12.7, but its future appraisal
was, let me look it up so I don't get it wrong.
Yeah, 15.9.
It was 15 something, yeah.
So its appraisal for April, its projected appraisal for April is 15.9.
Nice.
So, and that's really before we even get started on that asset. Its anticipated close will be somewhere around 42 million.
What's the exit plan?
It's it's converting all assets. There's 173 beds, and the plan is to convert all 173 beds to memory care over the 5 years, converting rents from $3,700 a month to $6,000 plus a month during that time frame.
It's a pretty good raise, huh?
Yeah, and then selling the asset at 5 years. The plan will either be to sell it or to refi it and fully exit all LPs.
Cool.
But yeah, it's got some really good bones, phenomenal bones of a deal. And like we say, you don't win commercial real estate when you sell it. You win it when you buy it.
Yeah.
Or residential for that matter. But
Yeah, everything.
Can be. Yeah.
It took me a while to figure that out. They're like, you make your money when you buy. Like, what? What does that mean? Right. So awesome, guys.
Yeah.
Well, congrats. Anybody else got anything from last week or anything coming up this week? Nobody else?
I am looking for a hard money lender that can act extremely quick. on 4.5 million.
I might have somebody
So
for you.
I need it like Wednesday.
Oh, I don't know about that.
So the asset was headed to close. It's a hotel conversion, 200 plus rooms, hotel conversion in Memphis. But it's in a decent part of Memphis, and it's being converted into multifamily.
Huh.
Um,
I'll give you
has
guys a
a
call.
6-month construction project to open 60 of the doors. And it needs to close by Wednesday. It was, like I
That's
said, it was supposed to close at the end of the week before last. And they found some unscrupulous behavior in the lender. And so they fired the lender. And now they're in a situation where they need to find lending like really fast.
They got to extend the contract on that one, I think.
And it's not an option.
I think a private lender might be better.
Right. That's where the HML comes in, the hard money lending. So that's right. And we're okay with that because we'll pay out the lending. We'll pay out the lending in 12 months. So it'll
Bridge.
fully be renovated in about 10 months. So
That's a pretty cool. All right, guys. Well, if nobody else has any wins, then me, Kyle, and Josie are the only winners, I guess.
okay.
But
Have a nice weekend.
all right.
I didn't work last week, so nothing to report.
All right. All right. Well,
Lisa's got to win.
yeah, what's your win, Lisa?
She got to vacation for like 8 weeks and travel around the countryside for like 50 weeks. She's been gone forever. Nobody's known where she is. She was like
Incognito.
yeah.
I know.
She went to Antarctica for a visit and
Did you actually go to Antarctica?
No.
Brought home a
No.
penguin.
Okay, all
No,
right.
I went to Alabama, not Antarctica.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Was wrong, eh?
That was
My
good.
bad.
and then Chicago. You went
I
to
was
Chicago.
there.
That's
I
almost
was-
Antarctica.
Oh, man.
That's true. Yeah,
guys
I was
get
on the road
to-
for 17 days. It was a long run. I went to Alabama for a week. I went to Chicago for like 3 or 4 days, and then I was in Massachusetts for a week. So yeah,
That's cool.
all visiting family and friends and holiday. This time of year, Thanksgiving is our biggest holiday of the year for our family. So
The
It's a
reason
good time.
the reason why it just feels like it was so long is because we usually talk to her every couple of days and she's been incognito.
I know.
Right.
It's actually I am going to move into your house for like the week to work. So just so you
Okay.
know.
All right.
Man, yesterday we were at a kid's birthday party, and we're like, I wish our flight was a little bit delayed. Well, careful what you wish for. We landed at 2:40 last night. So it's like, whoa, that
Now
could have
that's
been a little,
accountability.
yeah. It's like, wow, that sucks. But all right. Well, without further ado, I've been on the phone with Rebecca, I don't know, half dozen times with short sales, bugging her and taking up her time with short sales. She's been really great. And like the email said, I think she's an awesome closer, big dog resource, short sale, everything, super knowledgeable. So I'm gonna let you take it, Rebecca, and ask away questions at the end and yeah, go for it. So thanks for being here too, everybody. Thanks for being here.
Yeah. Thank you guys for showing up today. So, this is more of an open conversation, less of a presentation. So, let me just, what do you know about short sales? Anybody? Not you, Chad. You don't count.
You
I
need,
know
Nothing?
you need to
very little.
engage. You need to engage with the bank and the lender or the mortgage.
Accurate. Yes. The lender. Yes.
What else? No, they're not easy.
No. So, Selena, were you going to say something?
Oh, I was just gonna say I've done a couple. I didn't find them to be difficult. I just I didn't know if it was really worth it for me though, because it was just, I mean, they will only agree to a certain, I mean, they'll only come down a certain amount, and so maybe
Mhm.
maybe there's just some things I need to learn, but
So
yeah,
did you do a short sale as the buyer?
yes,
Okay, so did you negotiate with the mortgage company yourself, or was that
yes.
okay? Okay,
Hmm.
very cool.
Because I didn't know any better. I mean, I didn't know. I just went in and I just had a little bit of information, and because I'm just a doer, I just run in and do it, and but I don't always do it right, but I learned from it, and we got it. We got the property, but and I think it was a good deal actually. I'm not sure that they're all great deals, but this one
Yeah.
was. Hmm.
So, as you all know, there are different types of loans in place on properties, and an FHA loan, a VA loan, a conventional loan. Those are your main three. An FHA loan is going to have a very set percentage of value that they will take. Conventional VA is also somewhat more set, but conventional is a little more flexible. They will negotiate a little bit more back and forth. But the process is a little bit confusing to a lot of people because first off, a short sale is not a quick process. It is short in that we are shorting the bank what the borrower owes. They're agreeing to take less than is owed. So that's where the short part comes in. Generally, a short sale takes at least 3 months and can take up to easily a year. I have a couple on my books that have been here since February, that we've been working with them. I think first contact on a couple of them was like at the very end of January. And so we're coming up on a year already. Um,
Wow.
there's several things to know with a short sale. One of the coolest things, I guess, is there is a law that the lenders are required to review a completed short sale application if it's been submitted 37 days prior to, or more than 37 days prior to their scheduled foreclosure auction. So we have January auction coming up. We are now less than 37 days from that auction. So they're not legally obligated to review a completed short sale application. But when we're still this far out, they usually will. But yes, Kyle.
So let's I want to say for me, I would back up into a scenario that gets you to a point where short sale becomes an option. And why
Right.
would a
Okay.
bank and then describe the situation where a bank would willingly allow a short sale to occur?
So as you all are probably aware, in recent years, there was quite a bit of mortgage, like moratoriums, and people were doing loan modifications. Banks were giving you all of these forbearances and all of these things where people got very, very, very behind, right? Yes,
Yeah.
nods.
Hmm.
So they have, you could say, like artificially inflated amounts of debt because the banks were like, no problem, we'll just put this aside, don't you worry. Well, it continued to accrue interest. It was not, everything was not straightforward unless it was an FHA partial claim. You know, interest, late fees, all of that came due, and people then did loan modifications to try and stay in it, and their interest rates went up, and amounts of money got put on the back end, but it's just more and more and more. So essentially, they are negative equity. They are upside down in their home. And so the home itself doesn't really matter. It can be, $3 million and in perfect condition. It can be, holes in the windows and a shack falling down and anything in between. It just comes down to the numbers. Can they sell it on market for a profit? If not, then they are potentially a candidate for a short sale. The other factors are, do they have the cash to reinstate? They are required to submit all of their cash accounts, not retirement, not any of that kind of stuff, but liquid accounts, to show that they don't have, it's kind of a reverse qualification. When buying a house, you have to prove you have the funds, proof of funds, show your income, show your tax returns, all of those things, and prove that you can afford the payment, afford the down payment, all of that. It's the exact same thing in reverse. And so the house has to be upside down or borderline. They can't pay, and they have to have some sort of hardship, which is usually pretty easy to do. It's just kind of a statement saying, I lost my job, I had medical expenses, I got in an accident, was out of work for, 3 weeks. And then, the majority of Americans, if they lose a couple weeks of income, they'll never catch up, just with the paycheck to paycheck. So that part is pretty easy to qualify for. And really the banks, they don't want to own the property. They're not in the property owning business. They're in the money lending business. And so if they can resolve it without, with a number that they know, they can say, okay, I know this number, I agree to this number, versus having to go all the way to auction and maybe not getting the number that they wanted, and then having to take the property back, and then having to go through the whole process of securing the property, trying to list the property. It's a lot more hassle. So just the qualifications are essentially upside down, can't afford it, hardship. Did that answer? Okay. So,
Thank you.
no problem. So the 37 days, more than 37 days is really cool, because if you happen to get someone that is, say, right now, a February auction, we can get an application turned in time, and they're legally required to review it, not accept it, but they're more likely to accept someone into the short sale program if they've done it in advance, because it shows that much more initiative. So I guess one of the things you guys need to know is how to maybe talk to the seller and let them know that they are a short sale. So I'm sure that most of you, when you're talking to your sellers, you're figuring out approximately what they still owe on the property. Yes?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure most of you use some resources like Chase Home Estimator, Zillow, all of that, to get a pretty rough estimate of what the property could potentially be worth.
Yep.
So what I do is, when I run quick numbers, I do an 8% closing, like an on-market closing. And because you can see really fast if it's not an investor deal. It's like there's no room in that at all. And then so let's just say it's a $200,000 house. And they still owe $190,000. Well, 8% off of 200 is 184. So that's pretty much short sale territory. That's pretty quick and dirty math, 8%, because you've got your, realtor commissions and then the basic closing costs. That'll let you know. But there's also sometimes hidden things that you don't see. I'm sure some of you have run into the HUD partial claims. Have anyone?
I haven't
HUD
seen
lien?
that. Solar panels keep screwing me up, but I haven't
Solar
So-
panels are another thing, but HUD liens are one of those things where it's an FHA tool that it's a retention program where they'll take what you owe. If you're delinquent and you owe so much, you can put it on the back end, and it's a dormant lien. It doesn't accrue interest. It just sits there waiting for payoff. So But that is part of what they owe in total and will have to be accounted for at the end. So I can usually see those when I search properties on HAR. There's a tool in there, Realist Tax, that I can look and see mortgage history, and those usually show up there. A lot of times when you're borderline, like, oh, they could be a short sale, they could sell, and then you see one of those, it's like, nope, game over, they're short sale, they're upside down. Um, so when you're talking to the seller, you want to, of course, assess what they owe, assess a general value quickly, and then, like I said, I think most of you can probably tell pretty quickly with those two numbers if there's room in it for investment. And if not, then sometimes they might have just enough equity to list it and walk away, which is best for them. And sometimes they don't have enough room, or it's really, really close. And that's when it would be a short sale. And that's when you say something along the lines of, it looks like you really don't have much equity and possibly negative equity, depending on, you know, what the market will support and, you know, the condition of your home, things like that. So you might be a candidate for a short sale, and I have somebody that specializes in short sales that I can connect you with. Would you like me to do that? And at that point, you can just, after we've been introduced via text, you and I, you need to make a connection with me. I think some of you I've already got text connections with, but make that text connection with me after this call, and I'll give you my information. And then I will have you saved, and I'll know who I'm talking to, and you just group chat me with the person, your lead. That's ideal. Now, some of you might be using calling programs that have different numbers, and that's understandable. We'll figure something else out. But if you're able to just direct text me from your group, you know, include the seller and introduce them to me and me to them, that's ideal. And I'll take it straight from there. What I do is just right from that text, I ask them when's a good time to get on a call. And then I would say probably, you know, 2/3 of them never follow through or might take the call and then never answer my call again. But the ones that do go through, you know, I work with quite a few. I'm in the Houston area, so those are the ones that I would be the realtor on. But my team, I have members on my team that can do San Antonio, Austin, and Dallas. So I do have a short sale negotiator that is another agent in my brokerage. And then he has two assistants that he oversees that do all of the dealing with the lender. They sit on the phone and do all the follow-up and the document submission and all that. So it's a big part of the workload. They're out of well, hold on, El Salvador. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay.
They're really great though. So once you've determined you think it's a short sale and you connect them with me, more or less that would be the end of the workload for you. Sometimes we might have to get you back and get you to follow up with them if they're giving me a hard time or something like that, just to see, you know, make sure it's not dead yet. And then your compensation for your time in, you know, cultivating the lead is not much because it gets spread out. You know, traditionally a on-market deal is 6% commissions, 3 to the buying side, 3 to the selling side. But there's 2 on the selling side. So we do 2%, 2%, 2%. So I would get 2%, and then I pay my broker. And then I give anyone that gives me a referral like that I don't call it a referral because you have to be licensed for that, but I do pay you a marketing fee of 25% of what I take home. And so it at least pays for, the couple of hours that you might have spent cultivating the lead. So it's not amazing, but it pays you back a little bit of your time and energy. So, and then we're also the benefit of helping someone avoid foreclosure. So as you all know, foreclosures are like 10 years of just destroyed credit. I tell people you can't even finance a refrigerator.
Nice.
Yeah. And with a short sale, it does hit their credit, but most people are considered lendable again in about 2 years. Of course, it's going to vary person to person, credit to credit, but about 2 years, most people are considered lendable. And the reason for that is because that in the eyes of a lender, letting something go to foreclosure is they've given up and said, F it on their debt, right? They've just said, meh, not my problem. Whereas with a short sale, the homeowner has taken steps and made an effort to repay their debt. Maybe not in full, right? But made an effort nonetheless. And so they get less of a punishment, I guess you could say. So there's a lot more ins and outs and ups and downs on the whole process. I guess, do you have any like specific questions on how it goes or what you need to know?
I do.
Okay.
So when we end up buying a short sale, right? We end up contracting it. We're going to be trying to get 70% of ARVS repairs, right? How
Yeah.
does a bank handle that when a property's in bad condition? Because
So thank you. I forgot to mention that if they do accept you into the short sale program, there is going to be a process. There's different steps in different orders depending on the lender, but there will be an appraisal. And it should be an internal appraisal. They should go into the home and look it over. And we try to also talk to the appraiser and let them know, hey, this is a short sale. And that, there's all these issues going on. It's up against all of these other homes that have been completely rehabbed, all these things, like trying to point out everything that's wrong to decrease the value as much as we can. Now, it is highly unlikely that you will ever get 70% minus repairs in a short sale.
Okay.
FHA is 85%, or no, sorry, 88, and then it decreases, but I think they're going straight to 84 at the turn of the year. I think I'll have to talk to my negotiator. We were talking about that recently. But 84% of the appraised value has to be their net takeaway. So after closing costs. So while it is a good deal for somebody, it's not really an investor deal. It really just isn't. Now, if it is a property that is right where you want it, you're going to hold it for a rental, then it might make sense. If it's something that's like, man, I've been looking in this neighborhood, I wanted to get some rentals in here, I'm going to hold it for the long term, then it's probably something worth, expanding your buy box on and seeing if you can make it work, especially if it's a conventional loan, because they are a little more flexible on their numbers.
Okay.
They will negotiate a bit more. But as far as, trying to hit that 70% minus repairs is probably not going to ever happen.
So when we do that, the way I understand it is if we put in a low offer the bank doesn't like, then it forces a listing onto the MLS. Is that correct?
It varies from lender to lender. So some lenders want you to have, it depends on, so with any application process, there's a list of required documents. Now, a lot of the main documents are going to be the financials of the homeowner, but a lot of times they also want an upfront offer. They want an MLS sheet showing that it was listed, a listing agreement showing that they have representation. So I always get a listing agreement, but sometimes they want that MLS sheet up front. So it actually did go on market, but if they're also looking for an upfront offer, then I have to have an offer up front and my listing will go active and then pending in the same day. But yes, so what happens is if that initial offer gets declined and the buyer is unwilling to come up and play like a negotiating game, again, in conventional. With FHA, it's pretty much this is our number, take it or leave it. With a conventional loan, there's a little more, back and forth. So if you're unwilling to come up to their number, if y'all can't come to an agreement, the lender and the buyer, then yes, there will be a termination. A short sale addendum is in place that specifically outlines that if the lender doesn't approve your number, you can terminate. Then yes, at that point, we would need to go back active on market and try to get a buyer that essentially a retail buyer that is interested in doing the work and getting a slight deal. So,
Excellent.
I was going to mention the one that we did was a VA loan,
mhm.
and it seemed like there were like multiple people putting in offers, and so we were just trying to be the highest offer, but at the same time, we didn't win it the first time, but we won it the second time.
Okay.
So I don't know if that's just something they tell you, like, oh, we've got higher offers or whatever, just to get everybody to, because it seemed pretty automatic. They declined it the first time, and I was like, I don't even think they looked at it good, but maybe that's just like an auto thing that they send out so that everybody will come up a little bit. I don't
Yeah,
know, but
it's hard to say. Again, it's going to vary by lender. And I do know that the certain lenders, like we have one, so this house appraised for 304. The bank, the lender sent out an appraiser, and they came back with 304. We have an offer at 289. And we submitted this offer, which we thought this was and it's conventional. I was like, this is a great offer. I think that it's got a really good shot of getting approved. Tell me why the lender came back and countered at 330
Another
when
lean
their
offer?
appraisal was at 304. We're all just like, what is happening? So anyway, we think maybe there was either a miscommunication or someone's an idiot. But either way,
they need to get off Zillow.
yeah, the buyer came up like 2,000, and we, countered back and also put in inquiries as to why, when appraisal's at 304, why we would be at 330 counter offer. And we're still waiting to kind of hear back. But that's just sometimes the things that happen. And you're just like, they don't make any sense. So Selena, maybe it might have been something along those lines where someone wasn't, the right hand doesn't talk to the left hand, or it very well could have been that, they had multiple offers. So
If you try to fix it yourself and go to the mechanic, the price goes up. I don't know.
yeah,
So,
I don't know. It was weird, but
yeah. So I have a question. I've been talking to this person for a while. I'm not sure. I think this is too upside down. I can't remember the exact numbers right now, but let's just say this person has not paid their mortgage for 3 years.
okay.
And so he's probably $100,000 over what the property can sell for on the market.
Yeah,
Is that still a short sale conversation to have?
it definitely is. He's upside down, period, right?
Yeah.
And no one's gonna want to take on that loan because it's upside down. It's not only upside down, but it's way too big of a reinstatement. is his interest rate even good? He doesn't have any equity. So, I
There's
mean,
no equity. Yeah. Yeah.
he's not checking 2 of 3 boxes. Like, it's really bad.
Yeah.
So, upside down is short sale territory. Now, because he owes so much, it can be tricky, but not necessarily something that can't be done. Again, they do an appraisal and they go off of that. Do you know if it's FHA or conventional?
I was trying to find my notes since I've, been out of I can't remember. I want to say it is, but I can't find my notes right now. So we can talk offline about it.
Yeah, no problem.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
definitely, obviously, FHA is going to be
yeah.
a tougher sell just because they're going to go off of appraisal. But I mean, like I said, we work towards trying to make sure the appraisals are appropriate. We can't always, sometimes they don't listen, sometimes they don't. And I mean, some appraisers are also very like straight laced. My short sale negotiator said he reached out to one, and that appraiser essentially recused himself from the case because it was like he was being influenced or something by information. It was just information like data, right? Just like, hey, this is what things are selling for. These are the things that are going on that are going to affect the price of this home, blah, blah, blah. Like there's new sales and very strange. So these kind of things happen, and sometimes we can't communicate with the appraisers, but yeah.
And then that 37-day timeline, I think he got misinformed because he thinks his property's supposed to. So he had an HOA lien and then another lien on the house, and he paid the HOA off. So he was working on the other lien, and then he told me that he thought the house was going to be subject to be on the foreclosure list on the first Tuesday in January, and he thought he had until January 1st, let's just say, to submit the application for for a loan modification. He's trying.
Okay.
Never
Yeah.
mind. Yeah.
So the thing is that the standard turnaround time with lenders on any kind of loss mitigation is 30 days. They say you turn in your paperwork, they say you'll hear back from us within 30 days. It may be 3 days later, it may be 29 days later, but that's their standard thing. So if you turn something in on the 1st and your auction is, what is this, January 6th?
Something like that. Yeah.
I mean, you're looking at only a couple of business days because Friday and Monday. So, it's unlikely that he would, first of all, it's unlikely that he would get a completed package turned in and not be missing something. And then have it reviewed and approved in time for them to actually pull it from the auction. So that's just asking for trouble. At that late in the game, I say, when it's the 1st and your auction's on the 6th and you've got 2 business days it's got to be an emergency bankruptcy. That's the only way to push back your auction. And that is a tactic we will use sometimes. We will have our homeowners do that we've had many people reach out to us just like they do you guys the last week leading up to their auction. And it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know it was coming so fast. I've only known for the last 3 months that I was, in default and facing an auction. And so we say, look, absolutely, we want to help you. Go do this and call us back.
Yeah. This guy's had like 9. This guy's had 9 lives. It's unbelievable. He's done 2 loan modifications over the last 15 years.
Oh, I've seen way more than I've seen, like TROs, loan mods, bankruptcies, his and hers. And I mean, we're talking I talked to one guy, I think he'd like over the course of like 7 years or something. It was ridiculous. And then he's got like lawsuits and he kept talking about, and I was like, I don't want to work with you. Thanks. Like
Yeah.
when they start talking about lawsuits, I'm out.
Yeah. Okay. Yep. Yep.
Well,
Anyway,
I mean, if
all right.
someone is already like telling me they're litigious, I'm just not going to do it. I'm like, I don't want to put myself in the position to be the subject of one of your lawsuits.
Yeah.
If I don't do exactly what you want or whatever. No, that's a hard pass for me.
Thank you.
How do
So,
they have the money to sue people if they can't pay their mortgage, right?
I know, right?
well, they, probably have a friend. I mean, they may be an attorney, but because I mean, attorneys and doctors can be in foreclosure too.
That's true.
What else?
I had something. Did you say there's the very set amount on an FHA loan, and then you had said 84 something percent. Is that the same, or did I mix those up?
So, right now it's 88%, and that would be the net proceeds would have to be 88%. So it would be like, if it appraised for 300 and there were no other liens that had to be paid, and it was just the 8% closing costs, then it would have to be the offer would need to net 88% of that appraised price.
Okay.
But we did have a tool that was an authorization to participate, where every 30 days it dropped down 2%, the net proceeds would drop. But I believe that is changing to it's going to just start and stay for FHA loans at 84%.
Okay.
So instead of dropping over the course of time, I think they're just going straight to the bottom line.
Okay. Yeah, because
I will confirm.
is that perhaps what happened with Selena, where they said there was some higher offer or whatever, and then it ends up being accepted later because they drop it the longer it goes, right?
So that was a VA loan, and VA loans are a little bit different. VA loans are just their own animal. They're usually 90%, but it just depends on the actual lender.
Okay.
So VA loans, they're VA backed, but it can be a variety of lenders. So, but the FHA loans are all kind of FHA controlled. And so they have a very standard
Makes sense.
formula.
The other thing is the Chase Home Value Estimator. That's like one of the first things I always hit because it shows the date sold. I never use it for the value, but if I see 2021 or later,
Yep.
or like 99% odds we're at a short sale, right?
Yeah. Yeah. A lot of times anything in the last, 4 or 5 years is very possible, especially if they bought it in 22. A lot of 22 was above value purchases. I mean, I remember putting in an offer on a house, 50,000 over asking and getting beat out. So, not that I'm mad, because I'm glad we didn't buy that house.
Yeah.
But we were looking for our second rental property at that time.
My first house I ever bought for a homestead in Texas was from a short sale. I just didn't understand the whole process at the time, but I found it on the MLS. And then, so we walked in with like 80,000 equity right off the bat. That was nice.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I mean, deals can be found. It's just not going to be the formula we prefer.
Right.
Yeah. So it's a short sale is not good for a big dog flip. It's not got the kind of like margin in it for that. Also, just FYI, short sales cannot be assigned, so you can't wholesale a short sale either. So I don't know if there's any wholesalers in here that's
Wholesale is short sale. Yeah.
Yeah, so like you get it under contract, you get it approved, and then you assign it to an end buyer for a profit. That's not,
All I can think is you can't double stamp a triple stamp, or you can't triple
yeah.
stamp a double stamp.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like, okay, so there's room for you to go make a, $10,000 assignment fee. Why are we getting shorted that amount? The bank's not going to go for that.
Mhm.
So, yeah, end buyers only.
I'm assuming most fail because of paperwork, because I think I heard 50% fail or something.
Well, I mean, I think that a lot of people that try to do it themselves, yeah, they can. So I've recently gotten a client that had attempted a short sale with another realtor, and but a very traditional realtor, someone that just does really, on market retail buyers, retail sellers. And she'd submitted all her paperwork and everything looked good, but they needed an offer and they had a deadline for the offer and they were unable to present an offer. And I'm like, oh girl, no, I can get you an offer. It's not gonna be good, but that's what net worth is for. When you need an offer in 48 hours, net worth will come through.
Yeah, they're good at they got a
Yeah.
buyer's.
I've
Hmm.
gotten the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, my net worth guy got me 2 offers by the end of the day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
So
cool.
because and both of these clients had a Thanksgiving deadline. And we were like, well, tomorrow's Thanksgiving. Y'all are going to be closed. Nice try. We're getting it in. We got it turned in by like 3 o'clock. So
Wow.
it's, net worth has a place.
We used New Western to in August to get rid of a property. They were really good with that. But yeah,
Yeah.
when we didn't know what we were doing, we bought from Net Worth too and have gotten burned over that. But yeah, you can use them properly, I think, and they're good.
Yeah. So I just keep telling him one of these days, one of your offers will, get accepted. And he's like, yeah, one day. And I'm like, probably not. But I mean, that's part of their, you know, plan. It's just, I think they have a quota to meet on how many offers they, get sent out in a month. I have no idea, but I was working with like different, like lower level agents for a while, and it was driving me nuts because the turnover is so high. And so the one girl that I had worked with, she was no longer there. And she said, look, this is who you need to talk to. He's been there for like 8 years. He's not going anywhere. He's kind of like a mid-level. So I got myself someone that I can consistently communicate with. So
Cool.
that's helpful. But what else, guys?
I have a question. Have you encountered situations in which the property is not sold? I mean, it stays on the market for months and months and there's no buyer. What
Yes.
happens in that situation? What does the lender do?
So it's going to vary a little bit, but at some point, the lender's going to say enough is enough. And they're going to say, if you don't have an offer by X date, then we're going to terminate, your short sale. And so at that point, we try to get an offer, something reasonable. We review all of the bad offers we've gotten. I talk to them and say, look, is there anything you can do? Come up to this number, blah, blah, blah. And if that's not the case, and it really is just kind of, I mean, there are occasionally, you could say, somewhat lost causes when the FHA is unreasonable and they've appraised it too high, and you're showing them all of the evidence of all of the offers you've received, and they're all at this like lower price bracket, and you're just not getting anything, and you've had it marketed. There is an option for them once the short sale gets terminated. They might be able to do a deed in lieu where they just turn it over. That again is not ideal because it affects their credit as well, negatively. But you know, and occasionally even that might get declined and they may end up going to auction. We can't guarantee that they won't go to auction. But one of the benefits of doing, the short sale, obviously one of the benefits is the debt forgiveness. If they're approved and we go to closing, that amount that they're shorted, they get forgiven of, that debt. The other benefit is if they are still living in the property, they are not only allowed, but recommended to continue to live in the property during the short sale process. Because they're going to be keeping the utilities on. They're going to be making sure that, the house isn't vandalized and that it's secure and maintained. And so the banks prefer an occupied home because their asset is being maintained. But yeah, so as far as what happens if we don't get an offer, I mean, eventually it's either going to we'll find something to an offer for it and we'll keep trying, or the bank will say enough's enough and we might be able to process a deed in lieu, or and in that case we don't get paid. So or I did have one that we did all of these steps and it was a really tough one because the house was distressed enough. No one wanted to buy it at the price, but not distressed enough to get appraised low enough. So it was like structurally was in good shape. But the carpet was like black and worn and the walls were all like, where you can see like where dogs or somebody has like rubbed up against the walls and stuff. They've got the dark spots all around it.
Yep.
It was like that. There were some mysterious spots on the ceilings. So we couldn't do it. And this one, it did end up going to auction after, I think we started working with him in February and I think he went to the September auction maybe. But I have others I've been working. Again, we had offers on it. It just, they weren't gonna net the amount that they required. It was an FHA loan and they were just inflexible. So, I mean, we can only do so much, but we gave it a very gallant effort. But I have another one that is still in play. We're working that has been going since, well, two others since February that are still active. One
Wow.
we have under contract, and I think our buyers are willing to come up to meet the number that they require. And another one is they canceled her short sale. She attempted the deed in lieu, and now we're going back to short sale again. Can't figure
I
that
never
out.
had considered that before. I always thought it'd be short sale deed in lieu foreclosure, but short sale deed in lieu back to short sale, huh?
Yeah,
I
I'm
didn't
not.
even know it was possible.
Yeah. Selena, net worth usually closes on their transactions. They are the buyers. Sometimes with short sales there is like you have to hold it for 90 days or something like that before you can sell it again. And net worth is such a high volume that they can do that. So they may go in and fix it up themselves. I don't really know, past selling something to them, I don't really know exactly what their exit strategy is all the time, but
I did
I'm
sell
not.
one through them, and I did notice they'll pay a lot. I mean, I think they paid 85% of ARV
Yeah,
on one, but it was a good location and it was a great house, so maybe that's
yeah,
why. But like he said, I asked him, I said, like, what's the most you've paid on one? He said, well, we just paid 90% of ARV on one last week, so it just depends on the house. So I thought that was a
definitely.
good like buyer to have in your back pocket, you know.
Yeah. It depends on the house and the buyers that they have that are where their buyers are interested, but they definitely do resell. That much I know. I just don't know if it's always right away or if they do some stuff to it first or if they just hold it for whatever amount of time they're required to. Um, I'm not sure.
Well, um, if nobody has short sale questions anymore, would you mind telling us a little bit about your experience as a big dog when you came in, how much time it took to start getting consistent deal flow? See ya, Kyle.
Sorry, everybody, got to run. Talk
Bye.
soon. And Rebecca, if you have that contact, you want to reach out, if you can grab a screenshot of my contact info
Oh,
at
I
the
put,
top.
do y'all not have your chat open? I'm sorry. I put my phone number in the chat when I
Okay,
said
great.
that.
All right, I'll pull it. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, so I'm actually not that old of a big dog, honestly. We have
You don't
been
look
big
that old.
dogs for what?
I said you don't look that old.
3. Well, I'm older than I look.
In dog years.
Um,
In dog years, she's old.
Look, I'm an 80s baby, okay? I'm an early 80s, thank you very much. I do have a 4 at the beginning of my birth or my age, whatever. Um, so we joined in June of 2023, but prior to that, we had already purchased 2 rental properties and we're in the middle of a flip. So we came in with a little bit of experience doing some things. And we joined Big Dogs in 2022. And I don't know, we just kind of started right away. We jumped in with both feet and started calling. I mean, it took me probably, oh man, I'd have to go back and look because there's so while we were doing that flip, 2 houses down, my husband noticed someone walking around the house and was like, that looks like someone doing an appraisal, like on a vacant house that wasn't for sale. And so he went and talked to that person and found out that yes, they were out there checking it over from the bank or whatever, and they were going into foreclosure. So my husband then used the big dog tools and skip traced him, and that was our first big dog transaction. We partnered with Grant Gale, and he came in and helped us kind of close it up and wholesale it to another big dog. Oh, what is his name? Graham Nichols. I don't know. Anyway, so that was our very first one, and that was like pretty much right out of the gate. And then there was a lot of calling, a lot of leads that, we got several under contract that never went anywhere. One that we ended up terminating because we were the boots on the ground, and it was another one we had partnered with Grant. And he was gung ho. He was like, man, we could have made money on that. We could have made money. And that house ended up, someone else got it, and it sat on market and sat on market and sat on market. And we would have really been screwed if we had closed on that. Because again, like I said, we were boots on the ground, and it had, like, in pictures, it was gorgeous. But in person, there were so many weird issues with it. And so having boots on the ground is very important. Visiting your properties or having someone that you trust, that's another big dog and has your best interest in mind is key.
Oh yeah.
Let's see. So I guess since then we've done, since becoming big dogs, we've done 3 subject to wraps. We've done a couple of wholesale pieces, a couple of different flips. I'm trying to think. We're not as active investing as some, because my husband works a full-time W-2 job, manual labor style. And I have the realtor side of things that keeps me pretty busy, and any of you with children also know that keeps you busy. So
Yeah,
mine
put
aren't
the
as
kids to
little
work.
as they were in that picture, but they are now 13 and almost 11.
Cool.
So But yeah, so just, I mean, I still am always on the phone with and talking to leads. Just a lot more of the short sale and seller leads these days, on the realtor side of it. But it's pretty much all the same because I do deal like I all of my listings are either distressed sellers or investor flips. So I primarily work with distressed sellers, so it's all the same conversations. Talking to them about their property, talking to them about their situation, what led them here, their financial situation, and their options. So it really is just having the conversations. You, I think the key is having the personal conversations and less of the transactional conversations, to build rapport and to get to know them. And then when you call them back, you have things that you can remind them of that you had the conversation about. You'd be like, oh, how's your dog? Fido. Last time we talked, you said he had to go to the vet because he had a little respiratory, whatever, right?
Totally.
And so, or kids or whatever. Since I have kids, that's usually an easy one. If they mention children, well, I kind of let the conversation go for a little while and then I'll circle back to the kids and I'll be like, you said you had kids. How old are your kids? Mine are blah, blah. And then they'll usually tell me, oh, and it just opens them up. The more that they talk about their personal self as opposed to their property and their finances, it makes a connection and it really, really helps.
Yes. I had to learn though to stay out of the friend zone because I had a couple people that would not stop talking. I'm like, oh my God, how do I get off this call now? They won't shut up. It's 45 minutes later and nothing's happening.
Oh my gosh, just slam a book and be like, oh my gosh, I've got to go. My kid just dropped, I
Yeah,
don't
that's a
know,
good
just,
one.
I mean, something. I mean, sometimes I know there's been a couple over the years that are just like, is this worth it? Is it ever going to lead somewhere? Usually it doesn't. When they're the chatty Cathys, they are just, I've had some that just wanted a friend. They just wanted to talk. It's usually the older gentleman that
Wife
just,
passed away.
yeah, it's tough. But give them a little time and see what happens, and then just be frank with them, like, hey, I have another appointment I have to call, whatever.
Sure.
Those are tough.
Well, cool, guys. Anybody else got any questions, anything?
No, thank you. This has been very helpful.
Yes,
I hope
thanks,
so.
Rebecca. Really terrific information.
Yeah.
Good.
And
Appreciate
you're a
you
licensed
being here.
realtor in Houston?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
Houston. All over Houston.
You can drive all day and still be in Houston.
Yeah,
Yes, you
I do
can.
sometimes.
Wow.
So,
Yeah.
I used to live up in Humble and Eagle Springs for 11 years.
yeah. Yeah. Humble's not that far from me, honestly. It's the under an hour. It's the ones where I have to go all the way to the super west side, like Richmond and
Oh, yeah.
Cypress up north. Anyway, those are a lot further because
Wow.
I'm east of Houston.
Mm.
Houston seems to be leading the state now for good data coming out for the last real estate stuff I saw.
Yeah, I mean, it's still, as far as the realtor side of things, it's still, record high number of listings. The market is definitely flooded with, and that's another aspect to the short sales. It's like, there's so many more options available.
Mm.
Your retail buyers, and that's another thing. So it is tricky. This isn't going to affect you guys that much, but it is tricky trying to sell a short sale because your buyer pool is limited to someone that doesn't need to be on a timeline.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't sell a short sale to someone that has to move in once their house sells, that has to, their lease is up and they're buying a house because it there's no guarantee. They'll be like, oh, well, what do you think? I'm like, at least 60 days, possibly 90, could be longer. It's, once they put the offer into actually closing, I mean, it depends on the lender and how quickly they get back to us and how many times we have to go back and forth.
That makes sense, just from my experience.
Yeah.
The one I closed on, I homesteaded, it was like the offer went out and then disappeared, and we never thought I'd hear again, because it took so long, and
Yeah.
I ended up owning the house, but I had an apartment I was renting, so it didn't matter.
Yeah. So our buyer pool is limited because of that. So you've got your traditional retail buyer that isn't really a good candidate. And then you have your investor, your traditional investor that's not a good candidate because they're looking for that, 70% minus repairs. So you've got this smaller in between of someone that's looking for buy and holds, basically. It's rare that someone's going to flip a short sale. They might, but someone that's either looking for a buy and hold for a rental property or someone that is not on a timeline, that's maybe on a month-to-month lease and they're okay because this is exactly what they want, or someone that's got enough money that they can buy this other house and sit on 2 mortgages potentially while they fix it up. So
Would this ever work with Rosie and Roger's auction?
you know what? I'm not I haven't followed that enough. I don't know exactly what it looks like.
They just create an
So
online private auction of bidders to get the price up as high as they can.
probably, I should probably talk to her and see how that looks and how she structures it, like the behind the scenes of how to do it and see what that looks like. It's just, I'm not sure about the timing, like when is the right time to do an auction and like,
Right. That's why I'm
so
curious. Would it work? I
yeah,
don't know.
because a lot of times we have to have an offer up front. Like that seems to be more so the case lately. And then we have to wait for the appraisal, and then we'd have to terminate that listing if they most likely terminate the listing because it's usually um a very low offer. So yeah, I'll look into it. That's a good that could be a good resource potentially.
Yeah, I'm not sure it will or not, but I don't know. I'm curious.
Yeah. I don't know. It's worth a investigation for sure.
Might as well ask, right? So,
Yeah.
all right, cool. Well, I think we can jump off here. Thanks, Rebecca. I really appreciate you being here. That was great.
Of course. I enjoyed
Everybody
the
have a great week.
engagement.
Cool. Have a great week, guys, and we'll see you next Monday. So,
Thanks, guys.
thanks again.
Thank you.
All right.
Did everyone get my number that needed to?
Yes, I'm going to reach out.
Okay, perfect.
All right. Thanks, Chad.
You're welcome. See you guys. Have a great week.
All
Talk to you
right.
soon. All right. Bye.